Welcome to part 2 of Pit Yakka Origins. Part 1 ended with the Pit Yakkas discussing gambling and its pitfalls. We pick it up when Sonny Senior moves to Easington Village. Enjoy.
Let's go. So you're now at Easington Village, and you've got the 3 kids, but you didn't stay there, did you?
No, your mum would have just had Stuart, and she was worried about the main road. And I didn't want to move, and I tried to persuade her, but she wanted to move. So we done what they call a swap. We swapped a girl, and we lived down Oak Road.
Dorothy Ramsey.
Dorothy Ramsey, welcome,
Yeah.
son.
And Neville Ramsey.
31 Oak
31 Oak Road, yeah.
Aye.
And yeah, we spent, I'm trying to think how, probably about 4 or 5 years there until I bought that one in North Crescent.
Yeah. But actually, I mean, we've spoken about this before, about that. Yes, the house wasn't as good and the waterworks wasn't as good as the village. But actually, for us growing up, it was fantastic.
Yeah.
We had the back field.
We had the back field. There was bits of grass everywhere. Not many people had cars. You know, I don't know the last time you were down Oak Road, but you can't get down.
No, you can't.
There's just cars either side.
Yeah, and the ring. It's just part around the ring.
Yeah.
We used to race BMXs around that ring.
Oh, yeah.
Because it was empty, and if people did park, they only had a car. Families had a car, didn't they?
Yeah.
Not 3,
Yeah.
as they do now, and it would be parked off the side on like half on. So the ring was free, and we used to play footy in the middle of the ring, big grassed area, race BMXs round it. It was a fantastic place to grow up because there wasn't much traffic. You know, it was off the beaten track, wasn't it? The waterworks.
Yeah.
There was no main road
No, there wasn't.
passed through.
No.
It was kind of road in, road out
That's right.
area, wasn't it?
Yeah.
We're
We had
smack bang in the middle of both sets of cousins.
cousins as well.
Well,
Yeah,
so-
similar age to us. Well,
Yeah.
sort of John was a couple of years younger than me, and then Kenneth was the same age as you, and
Yeah.
Michael was a little older. And like we say, football was just what you did, wasn't it? And when you spoke about earlier on about, we would go out and play football on the morning and come in when it got dark.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We just played football sort of constantly.
Yeah. But from that point of view, son, it was a good move.
Yeah.
Because as you say, you enjoyed it where you didn't have that facility up the village.
I think it changes things. I think if we didn't go down there and it wasn't football sort of morning or night, 7 days a week, and the cousins were into football, and there was other lads down there, wasn't obviously our age group, but it was great. We had 2 teams and stuff, you know, and we
That's right.
play on the back field.
And cricket.
And a bit of cricket, yeah. It was definitely something that forged, I guess, definitely where you got to in your football career, Shu. But I do remember that you became kind of universally hated in the waterworks by the kids when you came and took the goal down that we built.
Yeah.
So we built a goal out of bits of wood. I mean, someone was probably going to get killed, you know. Like,
You were a health and safety officer at work at the time, I think.
Police came down and took it down, and everyone was like gutted.
Can't remember that.
Aye.
That's funny.
But do you know that there's a stat about how many kids get killed from fallen goals every year?
Yeah.
And it's quite high. These goals now, they're not,
Oh.
a lot of them are not in the ground, are they?
Yeah.
They're these like ones with a base on the back, and there's quite a few kids killed every year from
Well,
fallen
that's probably one of the reasons. Well, probably the reason.
I mean, and I'm not talking about a proper goal here. I'm talking about this ramshackle thing we built out of bits of wood. Somebody was definitely going to get it on the head, like, at some point. So it was a good move, I guess. But when you're kids, you don't see that. You know what I mean?
And
We had a
as
goal
Jim
for-
says, working in the workplace, seeing health and safety more it is, and then you put that into perspective with, you know, like that goal you built.
Yeah.
You look at that and you think, ooh, that's dangerous.
Yeah. So we'll move on to that. And so we're down. You're down the waterworks. You move up to North Crescent, where we kind of grew up. And North Crescent is a 3-bed semi with a shared yard.
Yeah, that's right.
I don't know, 4 meters by 2.
Gets smaller every time I go and see me dad.
You think, how did we ever?
Just tiny.
But we would play out there every night, wouldn't we? Every day, every night.
1v1s.
1v1. No, the steps with the goal on one end.
Yeah.
And actually, I think it was the steps on both. Steps up into the garden one end and the steps up in the house the other. They were the goals, 1-on-1. Our next door neighbour must have been to take away with a noise, you know,
banging off the
football
wall
constantly.
Yeah.
Like. But she never once came out, Jan.
No, she
said,
didn't.
You're going to have to stop. Never once. When we played constantly. So how does that, from your point of view, you've got 2 sons, you've got a daughter, Nicola, but this is about the football bit. Your two sons start playing football. I know I was a little later to the party and didn't start playing. I think I got into the school team in the 4th year of the juniors. I don't know how old you are then.
Juniors, 10?
Yeah, 10.
10?
Yeah. So there was kids playing at the time. At that point there, we had Steve Harper was playing for us at the time,
That's right.
centre forward for the junior school team
Forward,
at the time.
Yeah.
And Paul Smith, who actually turned pro as well, he was a year before. I don't know if you remember.
Outside left.
Aye, yeah, left footer. So I was a little 10, yeah. But you were kind of straight out the womb, so kicking the ball, weren't you, and everything. Aye, so how was that for you then, growing up in your two sons sort of starting to play football and everything?
Well, I'll never remember you playing for the juniors, as it were, the under 11s, if you like. And I don't know whether you remember, but our school team must have been one of the only teams ever to get sponsored. And I got the sales manager at Bridvik to sponsor you, and we bought a strip, and Bridvik on the back and everything.
Yeah.
And the Mr. Ridley.
Mr. Ridley, yeah.
The teacher, he was over the moon, and I've never forgot that either, because that was.
You must have sponsored for a while, because I've got a school photo when I'm in Mr. Ridley's the teacher, and we've got the white strip, and it's got Bridvik on the front.
The one, yeah. So that was good, yeah. So you went from there, and then you went up to the senior school.
Yeah.
And then you start progressing through the teams in the senior school. Stuart, as you see, started early, didn't he? I think with your tuition.
Yeah.
Well, I think, I don't know if it was tuition, but it was just having, when you're playing against someone older, and because they're 4 years older, better at that time, then it constantly brings you on.
Fast track is like a fast track, isn't it?
Yeah.
My early days of football were going down the school field, obviously just straight down the bank at North Crescent onto the school field with you two, and just teaching us the tricks, how to Cruyff, how to Maradona spin, how to do a step over. And I was just obsessed with understanding, right, how do I do this trick? Right, this is how you do it. And it's mad when you talk about all these one-to-one coaches now earning fortunes. Like, you two were my one-to-one coach. You were telling us how to get the arm up when you're doing your tricks, all the little nitty-gritty of the techniques.
Yeah.
You two were teaching me them. And that was my first kind of memory of becoming a footballer, if you like. How do I do all the tricks? And then...
Well, I'm sure you were 8-year-old when you played for the Mr. Ridley's team.
Mm-hmm.
You were in the second year.
He was in the second year playing for the fourth years. Yeah.
Played for our John's team.
Yeah.
It's not allowed now.
Is it not?
No. You're not allowed to play 2-year up. I think one's the limit. The twos, it's illegal now in school football.
Yeah.
I always remember being to a game, and you were only young. And Jimmy Hagan he first watched you at Peter Lee.
Right.
And you were in the second year then.
And was Jim the Man United scout?
He's Man United scout.
Yeah.
Anyway, I met Jimmy at another game. We were playing away, and we went to the byline, and the kid tried to close you down, and you'd done that one.
The drag.
The L.
Like
the L.
And I was stood with Jimmy Hagan, and he went to me, as much to say, where do you get that from? You know what I mean?
And how old are you think? About 8,
9? 9, something like that. I wasn't very old.
I think you were playing for the district, like.
We had a good district team, didn't we?
We did, yeah.
Who was
Mr. Adams?
Mr. Adamson.
Yeah.
He had a big black beard, didn't he?
Sadly, he passed us.
Did he?
Nice chap, him.
We had a good district. So, I mean, we were a tiny district, but we used to destroy all the big districts, didn't we?
Became Shotton Boys, didn't it?
Yeah, it did, yeah. From Pete Lee District.
I remember that.
90% of them became Shotton Boys.
Shotton Boys now. I was speaking to somebody the other day about Grassroots. It was a lad I work with, and he grew up in the Horden area, but then moved to Whitley Bay. And I says, like, how old were you? He says, I used to play for Shotton Boys. And I went, believe it or not, he's only 20 now. So I said, believe it or not, I says, my dad was we were the first founder club ever of Shotton Boys.
Tommy Miller founded it, didn't you?
We did, yeah. We did. I was...
and it's still going to this day. I think they call them Shotton Colts.
Yeah.
Right.
But, yeah, so that was the very first.
And we had our own office.
Yeah.
Bridvik. Yeah, that was our own office. We had done all the paperwork there, the photocopying, any phone calls I needed to make.
Yeah, I hope nobody's listening from Bridvik.
Well,
coming after for that.
in one respect, I hope they are. Although they might stop me pension. No, but we had Shotton Field we used to go away to places like Sunderland where you played on all the open fields and everything.
Yeah.
And these kids used to come to Shotton and think where we had it was like Wembley for them because it had a stand.
Yeah.
It had
Railings.
railings, dressing room, the driveway.
Was it Shotton Welfare's field? Like, was
Yes.
it
Yeah. And it was terrific facilities.
We talk about grassroots. So Easington School at the time, you know, before my era, you know, you'd had the likes of Paul Kitson, who'd sort of had a turned pro, hadn't he?
Yeah.
I don't know sort of how successful his career was, but he certainly turned pro. And even in my sort of school team, you're looking at the likes of Paul Arthur turned professional with Burnley.
Yeah.
Paul Smith turned professional, played for Hartlepool, I think, had been Paul.
He did, yeah.
Chris Brass played professional. Steve Harper played professional. I kind of got as far as professional schoolboy forms with Burnley, and then didn't progress beyond 16, didn't get kept on at 16. But that's like just one, well, that was 2 years because Paul Arthur and Paul Smith were the year below. But that's like quite a small place to end up with that many professionals coming out of a small thing.
Yeah.
And then it moved on to your era, and you had some good players as well, didn't you, coming through? I mean, sadly, one of them was like Adam Johnson was one of them.
Yeah, I think it's been a massive minefield for players coming out of. I think there's a stat from Easington School alone. It's produced the most, or up their joint, of the most players that have gone on to play professional football from one school.
Yeah. It's got to be. It's a crazy stat. We'll have a look at that and see on another episode. We'll have a look at that.
It's been a bit of a hotbed, hasn't it, for producing talent?
And I do recall a story. So we were playing, and I actually think we were playing in the year above. So a few of us, myself, Chris, Steve, we played for the year above as well. We were playing. We got to the semi-final of the All England Schools Cup, and we were playing a team from Middlesbrough, and Jamie Pollock played for them. It was the year above because he's older than me. It was the year above.
Right, yeah.
Played for the year above. Hart was in goal at this point, by the way. He used to have periods where he was in goal and then he didn't want to be a keeper. He wanted to be a centre forward again because he was quite a quick lad, actually.
Yeah.
And then he'd go. Anyway, he's in goal at this point. We go 1-0 up. Few minutes to go. We think we're going to the final here. We're going to the final of the All England Cup here. We're a little school from Easington, and we're going to the All England final here. Harper picks the ball up, and then a few seconds later he kicks the ball out. Ref blows the whistle, free kick. Held the ball for longer than 6 seconds. I mean, when do you ever see that especially at that level as well? Held the ball for longer than 6 seconds. So there's a free kick just outside the box. Jamie Pollock puts it in top corner. One's apiece. Have to go to their place. Darlington it was. We went to somewhere in Darlington. It was a Northern League ground in Darlington. We played the match.
I remember going, but I couldn't.
Yeah,
it was.
And anyway, we got beat 2-1 in the replay, and they went on to win the.
But he was as a schoolboy. He was a monster.
He was a proper unit.
Yeah,
he was. Yeah,
he was my manager at Spennymoor.
Was he?
We got promoted from uni bond up. He was my manager.
And even then, I remember in them years, considering this is North East, playing with lads, Mark Tinkler went on to play for Hartlepool, and that didn't he? Martin Smith went on to play for Sunderland. Michael Barron.
I see all of them regularly. Still see them.
Can you remember the game when you played at Monk Weymouth and Martin Smith was playing?
Yeah, and he used to play on the left, and I played on the right.
That's right. Yeah. And he, let's be honest, Martin Smith was a good player.
He was a quality.
As a schoolboy, he was a good player. And me and Bob Crawford were there because Justin was playing.
Yeah.
And I don't know how long it'd gone, but Martin Smith went up the left, and he was tracking the ball up the left when you went in and won the ball.
Yeah.
Won the ball, but like most tackles today, when you won the ball, your momentum carried Martin Smith in the air and over the sideline. And the referee blew for a free kick. Long story short, I said never.
Words to that effect.
Words to that effect. Anyway, culminated in that he sent me off. But the problem was, to get out of the school ground was probably about 200 yards down the pathway and out the school.
Yeah.
And he wouldn't start the game. Bob Crawford came with me. Bob didn't get sent off, but Bob came with me. And he wouldn't start the game until I was clear of the entrance. And every time I turned round, he'd go...
That's the worst. I was just going to say, we're all waiting for the game to go back on, and you We'd go 10 yards and then stop and turn around and he'd go, no, go on. And you
Can
do
you
it
remember
again.
it? Can you remember it?
And I've always thought from then, what you must have thought, Dad, what are you doing?
And I just want to say as well, I've reached out to Martin Smith on Facebook from the show. So if by any chance somebody hears this who knows Martin, or you've seen him, like
he was doing some agency stuff, so I used to see him. I'm not so sure if he still is at the moment, but yeah, he was very regularly.
Let's get you on, Martin, and have
was
a
a good
bit
player,
of crack about those days. Yeah, he was a really, really good player. Yeah, and someone put a photograph in it, and it was Darren Williams was in it, and someone had sent it to Darren saying this was a great team, and it was the team with Martin Scott and Martin Smith in, and Dazza and Bawley and all that. Yeah.
And Mark Tinkler's under 21s at Middlesbrough.
Is he
manager? Yeah, so I see him now and again.
Yeah.
Good lad, real good lad. And Mickey Barron is coaching at the Parkview Academy.
They look like they're going to be doing well. Good side.
Yeah. So I see him. We played a couple of times against Parkview last year, so I had a real good bit catch up with him because he was our captain at Hartlepool when I played for Hartlepool. So he's a great lad, Mickey. So we had a good big catch up. So the three of them are still seen regularly, which is from that team.
Excellent. And then just if we finish on mine, because mine isn't very long, we then we leave school, and I think some of us went on to play for other sides. I think Chris Brass and Harper and me we played for Paisley Newtown for a little while, but it wasn't until we went to see him Red Star that things sort of picked up again. And I know at that point Harper was the same as me, I believe. I think he got released at 16, same as me from Burnley. He did, in fact, and it was Chris Brass who got kept on. And Steve got released the same as me. But then we started playing for Same Red Star, and we were 16 playing for the 19s at that point for a guy, Alan Hall, who's passed sadly, but what a fantastic fella he was. And I still sort of friends with his son, Anth Hall. I don't know if you know Anth, but so we're playing for Same Red Star, and Steve started playing for Newcastle Intermediates or something it was. Actually started travelling with the first team. So, we were young, and he started travelling with
in the Northern League.
In the Northern League, And then from there, he started playing for this side called Newcastle Intermediaries. I don't know, but obviously had an affiliation with Newcastle Football Club, and that's how he moved on, and then went to the full club from Same Red Star, and obviously being rejected at that point. And I think I got an injury on, I don't know if you remember, I got an injury on the shin. I got a hematoma, about 17-year-old, I don't know, something like that. And I think at that point as well, I'd got it was jobs. Maybe you make a decision at that point that it's not for you. I had the injury and I never really came back after the injury. I never bothered really again. At 18-year-old, I got a job, and I thought that'll do for me. I played Sunday League for bits and bobs. But
who were you playing for when I used to borrow a friend of mine's van and
Paisley Newtown? Was it? Yeah.
And
they were good days.
You wouldn't be allowed today, but you were all in the back, weren't you?
Yeah, loads of us in the back.
Just in the back, no seats, just in the back. Yeah.
Can you remember the time you stopped the bus and kicked one of the lads off?
I did. Sadly
passed. I know.
Sadly that was.
And actually,
Stephen Ward,
Anthony Ward.
Anthony
Stephen's his brother, isn't it?
Anthony Ward.
Years later, you actually became friendly with him, didn't you?
Oh yes, yeah.
When we're adults.
That's right. Yeah. No, I stopped the van in Easington Lane, and I opened the back doors and I said, and he thought I was joking, but I wasn't. And he apologised. He got back in the van.
Yeah.
But he was a lovely lad, but he's quite a handful to.
He definitely was. He definitely was.
Lovely lad, and he sadly passed, and that was so sad. That.
Yeah, there were good times at Paisley Newtown. We had a decent side. Paul Purcell, I think his name was.
Paul Purcell, the school teacher.
He was the manager, wasn't he?
That's right.
He used to. His son. I mean, his son he was nowhere near the Paisley Newtown level, but he used to sort of bring him on. Everyone like, oh yeah, man.
So what age was this? Was this like under?
I think it was like 14s, 15s, 16s, wasn't it?
Was it?
Yeah. Because like I say, Chris Brass played for us as well at the time.
Right. Because Paisley Newtown had a not a bad Northern League side. That's probably around that time.
Yeah.
That must have been their little feeder into.
Yeah.
And they had that lovely little stadium at Paisley, didn't they?
Yeah, we had some good. In fact, when we were playing for Same Red Star, I left, and then the guy Alan Hall he took over Harrington in the Wayside.
Right.
And he rang me up and he was like, I'm getting the band back together, you know, the same Red Star band. You know, when people just got nicknames,
Yeah.
you don't really know.
Yeah.
It's like Landy and Cuppy. And,
yeah.
and he said, I'm getting everyone back together. Do you want to come? So I went and I signed for Harrington in the Wayside League. And I remember being a training one night, and the lads who had signed, there were Sunderland lads, you know, and Mickey Gray turned up for training. We were probably, I don't know, we were probably 18, something like that. So he was at Sunderland at the time, Mickey,
Right.
but he hadn't broken into the first team at that point. But he used to come train with us on a Wednesday night with Harrington in the Wayside League, because he was with his mates. And the weird thing was that you could see he was, you know, but so was everyone really who was playing for in that side who'd previously been same Red Star, and then we all went back to Harrington. There was nothing different. He didn't stand out to the point where you're going, oh, this lad's a bit. He was just one of the lads who turned up to training, and then later on he goes on to obviously have a career. So let's move on to something slightly more interesting now, which is you have a son who 9-year-old, you 8-9-year-old, you're talking to Man United scouts about. So what was the progression?
Well, you joined the academy, didn't you?
The Centre of Excellence.
Centre of Excellence.
Which you never taught me about. It was just, at that time, we were obsessed on going to any kind of coaching we could get. And we used to go on the Coca-Cola.
We did.
Didn't we?
Yeah.
Can you remember them when we used to?
Of course I can.
You know, in the half terms and stuff. They were brilliant, by the way. Yeah. We used to get the awards and stuff, didn't we?
Wasn't the top one, was it the Black
Award?
One, yeah. And the first one we went, it's probably the first time, I'm going to keep this as well. Probably the first time when I can have evidence that I was better than you at that point. Because I got the Black Award and you got like the Red Award.
The second award.
Yeah.
Were the little cloth badges?
Yeah.
Yeah, and a certificate.
You got a certificate.
And it had like Coca-Cola. Yeah, they were brilliant then.
Yeah.
They were, you know, looking back, like they were like half-term coaching things, but they were quite high challenging, like some of the stuff that he used to have to do.
One of them was called the Bobby Charlton School of Excellence.
It was, yeah.
You remember that one as well?
Yeah. Oh, you went to a lot, didn't you? That's all you done.
So that night of the coaching, I get in the car and we drive there to the McEwen Centre, which is now Rayton Meadows.
Yeah.
I didn't have a clue. I just thought it was another coaching session, a bit like the Coca-Cola stuff. I remember during the session picking a bib up, and it had Sharp and it had the Man United badge. So I puts the bib on. I'm like, why on earth is the Man United bibs? But it didn't click.
Yeah.
You know, I just thought, they must have get them off Man United to use. So I goes back upstairs where you were sat in the viewing gallery, and I think it must have been Pop Robson and yourself, and you're like, did you enjoy it? And I'm sweating. I'm like, yeah, I loved it, absolutely loved it. And I think Pop might have said, are you going to come back then? And I'm like, yeah. And I remember that clear as day, you said to me, do you know what that was? I was like, no. He went, that's My United Centre of Excellence. You've been asked to My United School of Excellence. And my face must have lit up. And that was the first time I thought, wow. You know, because I was a Man United supporter.
Excuse me. We should clear that up, Reed, the Man United thing. So we'd sort of grown up with our cousins who lived in the waterworks being Liverpool fans for some reason. And at the time, the rivalry was really Liverpool-Man United, wasn't it?
Yeah, massive.
And there was, you know, it was your Brian Robsons, wasn't it? And that era was when we were growing up. And although there was obviously an affinity with Sunderland there, and I remember getting a scarf in an autograph book from Alan Brown because he was Mum's cousin, and we had a Sunderland scarf in the book and stuff. And there was definitely a thing for Man United. We were definitely sort of mad on Man United at the time, weren't we? So for you to then go to the Man United School of Excellence, it wasn't just that it was the Man United School of Excellence to you, it was that we were mad Man United as well. That was one of the bigger things, wasn't it?
I think obviously with yourself being a massive George Best fan and the Busby Babes and Dennis Law, that's probably how we connected with being young, you know. But I remember the early years of when we had the shared bedroom, everything was Man United: curtains, the lampshade, the covers, bedspread, everything was Man United, you know. And so for me, that night when I got there and found out it was actually Man United Centre of Excellence, it was like, it was just amazing, you know. For me, it was like a dream come true.
You were only 9 then.
I know, yeah.
And we went there for quite some time, didn't we?
It was every Wednesday night.
Every Wednesday night.
It's mind-blowing, that, isn't it? 9-year-old going to the Man United School of Excellence.
And your coach was Jed McNamee?
It was Pop Robson first, and then Pop moved down to Manchester because he got the job, and it was Jed,
Jed McNamee, and then later became, when he was at Sunderland,
me academy manager.
So then what happens next then? How does it progress from
the progression was you'd carry on going to School of Excellence, and then I think it was school holidays. You were invited down.
We used to go down and play Centre of Excellence versus Centre of Excellence. So, like the North East one would go down and play the actual Manchester Centre of Excellence that was based in Manchester. And there were the early years of people like Gary Bickerton and Danny Higginbottom, Jamie Wood, who I ended up being scholars.
You did, yeah.
I ended up being scholars with them. But I remember playing against them when we were 9, 10, 11, going and playing a Centre of Excellence versus Centre of Excellence. And it was like that, wasn't it, up until, obviously, you get to the schoolboy age. So luckily for me, it was probably a retain release at the Centre of Excellence. And I was kind of getting, without probably thinking of it, I must have keep getting retained year after year.
Yeah, of course.
And at that time, you were obviously still allowed to play, which I don't think you are these days, but you were still allowed to play for the school and the district and boys.
Yeah. Everything was just, that was just a once a week. I think the reason they stopped it was because the bigger clubs were starting to branch out and put Centre of Excellences in the hotbed areas. And we all know the North East was a huge hotbed of football. And if you look at the players that Man United were getting, they were getting all the best North East lads. Whereas in theory, the North East lads should have been going to Newcastle, Sunderland, Middlesbrough.
So is there a mileage thing on now where?
Yeah, so you've got to, in the phase, is the foundation phase, youth development phase, you've got to go to your school, has to be within, I think it's an hour and a half of the academy base.
Yes.
So if you look at Leeds' academy is nowhere near in Leeds, it's at Wetherby.
Right.
So the box clever. Because now they know they can reach out into the
north, further north.
North,
of course they can. Yeah. So again, it's all down to that, being clever with it. But that's why they put that little kind of rule in, so that they wanted basically the local boys to go to their local clubs, which is really how it should be. And then after that, if you want to move, you move. But at the time, Man United were getting a massive head start on, they probably had Centre of Excellence all over the country. Hence, they got Beckham at a young age, being a Cockney lad. They were getting that one step ahead of all the clubs. But I remember, obviously I was there going on the half terms and stuff like that. But then I remember I got to 13-year-old, which is the year just before you get offered schoolboy forms. Now, schoolboy forms doesn't even exist. It's just within the academy, isn't it? But schoolboy forms was huge. I remember it was like a huge stepping stone for a player, or a young player aspiring to be a professional. And I remember that year, that 6 weeks holidays of my 13th birthday, I was never at home. I went on a trial at different clubs all through the 6 weeks. Right. I was telling Charlie the other day, so the clubs I went to that 6 weeks, I had a week at Man U, I had a week at Norwich, I had a week at Wimbledon. I went to Wimbledon on trial for a week. And it was just worlds apart. The facilities, like tiny little porta cabins, and there was one pitch, just one grass pitch for the whole of the younger teams. I went to Everton, I went to Sheffield United, and I think I went to Ipswich.
You did.
So there were me 6 weeks. I wasn't at home at all in the 6 weeks holidays. It was just trial. But it was one of them. Looking back, why did I ever go there? Because there was only one place I was ever going to, but I suppose it was, what if Man United don't offer you the next step? There's always that next opportunity. But I think that the thing that I had in my favour at the time is, and it was a real mad part of my growing up, was when I got the offer to go to the Lilleshall trial. So Man United put me forward. So each Centre of Excellence around the country had to nominate certain individuals to go for the Lilleshall trials. And I remember the first set of trials was at York City's ground. And it was just literally go in, a bit like when you watch X Factor and that, they would shout your name out, Stuart Brightwell, right, you put the red bib on. So you'd all of a sudden, there'd be 4 teams there, Reds v Blues and then Yellows v Greens or what have you. And it was just 11 v 11 games. Bearing in mind, we shouldn't even been playing on 11 v 11 pitches because of the age, which they changed obviously later years. But that was just a game. And they were literally just picking out who they wanted to get through the next batch of trials. I remember we got the letter saying you've been successful. The next trials is at Lilleshall. So it went from regionalised in the north to now it was the nationals, and that was my first endeavour of.
Yeah. Do you want to just explain what Lilleshall?
Yeah, so
because it isn't around anymore.
no, it isn't. No, and it's a shame because for my time, I wouldn't swap it for the world. It was an amazing opportunity. So Lilleshall was the best 16 boys in the country that they think at the time get selected to move to Lilleshall, live, go to school there, and you live and you move away from home basically for 2 years, and it's like a mini scholarship, but at 14-year-old. So that was a big move for me. But it was also like a proud moment really. But it was daunting because when you get down to them national trials, I think that the first set of trials would have been maybe 100. So you've gone from regionalised to now national, and you've got boys from all over the country competing for only 16 spaces really, and some unbelievable players. Like, when you branch from that regional area to the whole country, how much the levels improve. But it was like, that was the first seeing Lilleshall like give you that within touching distance, you're seeing the buildings, you're seeing the facilities, and you were like, I would love this, And
we used to come down, didn't we? We used to
We
go
did.
on every
We did
week, didn't we? And
quite regularly, yeah.
yeah.
It was some journey. We're just on about that coming through here.
So Sunday mornings, we would probably kick off at 10, half 10. And it was 9:15, we were nearly here. And I said, my dad, you'd be nearly at Lilleshall now.
Yeah.
All them years ago on a Sunday morning, you must have had to leave at 6 o'clock.
We sometimes stayed down there, didn't we?
Yeah. We need to thank Britvic as well, by the way. We should be sponsored by Britvic.
Yeah, for the company car.
For the car, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
that helped enormously.
We bounced some miles on that Cavalier, didn't we?
We did, yeah.
Maroon Cavalier.
Maroon Cavalier, yeah.
So I remember the first batch of nationals, probably 100 boys, and then I think we were told then it was going to be whittled down to 60. So you go back home, back to your normal day life, and then you would wait for the letter to come through. Next letter comes through, you've been successful to get through the next stage of the trials, which was brilliant. And I probably went maybe 2 or 3 times over the course of it to try and get through. But then I'll never forget the last batch of trials. I think it was down to about 30 or 40 kids where they were going to pick the 16 from. Yeah. And I'll never forget the morning it came through. You'd gone to work early, Dad. You and Nicola, I think you were both in your early years of working. You were probably 17, 18-year-old, so you left early. And I was in the house on my own. And in them days, the post came early. Yeah. And I remember the post came through, and it said Master Stuart Brightwell, and I knew it was the letter. And I was in the house on my own, and I was shaking opening the letter. And I remember opening the letter and reading it, and like the feeling I got, I can still feel it now. The feeling that I got when I read it, and it said, like, we delighted to announce that you've been successful and we'd like to offer the opportunity for Lilleshall. And the first person that I could think of was Auntie Beldy. And I rang her. I rang Auntie Beldy off the house phone. Off the dialer. The dialer house phone. And I was like, Auntie Beldy, I've been selected now. I've been picked to go to Lilleshall. And I remember just screaming down the phone, like, wow. And then I had to wait till you came in from work. And
well, she was so proud of you and all.
She was, yeah. She was.
And they were involved, weren't they? Because John Devine used to come with us sometimes, didn't he? Who was Auntie Belly's son-in-law.
John Devine took you down the first run because I was on the course. I couldn't get off the course, and John took you down there.
He did, yeah, first time, and then he used to help out by taking us down on sometimes if we'd been home for the half terms and it was the Sunday night, he would drive us back. And John tells the great stories. Like, he used to say, like, I would sit. He would be in the car with us. He was trying to get some conversation, but as a typical 14, 15-year-old, I'm sitting there, quiet. He said, now drive for 4 hours. He says, you get out the car, grab your bag and go, cheers, John. He says, now he had 4 hours to go back home. He used to think, cheers, Stu, for that. But nah,
He changed it on the way then.
But looking back in hindsight, who would drive somebody 4 hours just to take them back somewhere and just get a thumbs up and say thank you very much? Yeah. Not even a penny or anything. That was off his own back, and looking back in hindsight, I've got John. I thank John Devine massively for that. But yeah, them Lilleshall days were they were hard, but it was an amazing time. Like the things that we did in terms of training every day. The coach we had there, Keith Blunt, who sadly passed away, he without a doubt the best coach I've ever had. Just like his mannerisms, his knowledge, just superb coach.
Yeah,
I remember when you were selected for the Easington district. What's the title? Sportsman of the Year. And you were nominated for that, and you actually won it.
I remember, yeah.
And we went along, and you won it. And who else was in it? And you beat Stephen Harper.
I did, yeah. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like an awards night, wasn't it?
Sportsman of the Year for Easington district. Sadly, throughout my lifetime, I had a spell where I moved house. I didn't move house, but I went to live with someone for a very short space of time, and I had the bedroom decked out with everything, all the sport and memorabilia, you know, the guitars and everything. And when I walked out, it was when I met your mum again.
Yeah.
When I walked out without a spoon and left everything, no clothes, nothing. And I left. So everything there was left, and God knows what happened to it. But
I know, including a red Stratocaster guitar.
yeah, is that yours?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
So she might still have it.
Yeah, she might. I'll give her a ring, see if she's still got it. So who was in your sort of your year that?
Yeah, so obviously when you go and you do the trials, you were classed as first years and second years. So when we were trialing to be first years, the current first years who were going to move into the second year group were there watching us, and we did the same when our first years were coming in. So the year above, you had Jamie Carragher, who was actually a striker at the time. He played for England under 15s, under 16s as a striker. But then when he went to Liverpool to become a scholar, he ended up being a centre back. Yeah. And I would never have seen that in a million years, because he was actually quite an intelligent striker, you know, the movement of him and stuff like that. So he was probably the most famous of the year above. Was Ronnie Warwork, who I went on to Man United with. He was a year above. There was a centre back actually called Marlon Brooms, who captained England at all the age groups up to under 18. And he was like sensational. Like at that age, at that level, he was a phenomenon.
Didn't he go to Blackburn, Stu?
Blackburn, yes. Yeah. I think he had a couple of games in the first team and stuff, but when you're looking at somebody like that and you're seeing them captain at England at 15, 16, 17, 18s, and he was a Rolls Royce, an absolute Rolls Royce, I fully expected him to go on and be a superstar.
Yeah.
But it just didn't, transpire that way, and there's quite a lot when I look back who at the time I thought, wow. But year below, so in my year group, there was Jody Morris, who obviously went on to play for Chelsea. Yeah. Mark Gower, who went to Tottenham but then ended up having a good career at Swansea and is now quite high up at Liverpool. He's one of the technical recruitment staff. He's doing a good job there. Neil Clement, who went on to play for West Brom in the Premier League. And the year below, you had Michael Owen, who obviously became a superstar. A quick story about Michael Owen, it was funny. So all these years have passed and he's a global superstar, and I'm working for Sunderland Academy, and we play down at Liverpool. And he's there, check his shirt on, pair of jeans, and he's an agent at the time. He's doing a bit of agency work. And I remember I was with Carlton Fairweather, God rest his soul. And Carlton's nudging us, going, go and speak to him. I'm like, don't be daft, man. I said, it's been 20-odd years. I feel embarrassed if he doesn't know who I am, you know?
Yeah.
He was like, he will, man. Of course he will. Go and speak to him. So I didn't. I said to Carlton, no, I'll leave it. So me and Carlton are carrying a conversation on, and Michael Owen's about 10 yards ahead of us, just walking. So I'm just talking to Carlton as usual about the game, blah, blah. And Michael Owen just stopped in his tracks. He just turned around, he looked at us, he just went, I'll never forget that voice. And he just came over.
Fantastic.
And he put his hand out to shake, and he went, how are you doing? And honestly, we had it. And I've got a photo of the two of us standing talking. Somebody took a photo of us. Obviously, at the time, he was a current horse trainer. So we got talking about the horses and stuff. And we had a good 15, 20 minutes catch up, And there's me thinking he wouldn't remember us. Yeah. And he just stopped and turned around and he just went, I'll never forget that voice.
Pit Yakka voice.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. And we just got talking, and it was because he was a global superstar. Do you know what I mean?
Didn't he win the Ballon d'Or?
Ballon d'Or winner.
Yeah, but global superstar or not, how about the initiation for Michael Owen?
Oh yeah, wow. To be honest, I would have thought when I talked to him, I thought he might have thought, I'm not ever speaking to you again. So yeah, there's a good story this actually. So he was a first year, and I knew him anyway because he'd been on trial at Man United. And there was something about him, he had to be the best at everything. And that's why he ended up being the way he was and being a global superstar. I just knew he wanted to be the best at everything. So we thought we'd wind the first years up and we'd do a bit of initiation. So we had a thing called the strength test. Now, the strength test was you had to lie in a sit-up position, and a towel went over your face, over your eyes and over your face. And two people either side knelt on it. And you had to try and sit up, like from a sit-up position, come up. Now, it was easy because the towel just used to rip up just used to slip up from your knees. So we got one of the first years in and we primed him and we said, right, when you're down there, we're going to get you first. When you're down there, you're going to have to pretend. But you're going to pretend because it's easy to do, but you're going to pretend that it's hard and you're not going to be able to do it. So we gets them all in. Right, you're going first. Can't remember who the first year was. So we're sitting, gets him in the position, gets the towel. Right, go. And all of a sudden, he's like, and he can't do it. And we're all going, go on. He's like, and then he just stops. He goes, nah. So like, right, who wants to go next? Well, we all knew who would go next. So him, Michael Owen, straight away, yes, me. So it comes down, gets him in the position, and it was just a pure setup. So gets him in position. And at the time, I was an early developer. I'm 14, 15. I've got a beard. My legs are hairy, and me bum's hairy. Right. So we're sitting there, and the lads are like, right, go for it. So we get him in the position. I turn round, hug us down, and me bum's ready. So as soon as he sits up, his whole face just goes right the crack on my bum, and he's like. And everyone's in uproar. There's 32 lads in a room, and they're all like cheering and stuff. And he just comes over and he was fuming. Honestly, he was fuming. He went, I thought I liked you. He says, I thought you were one of the ones I could trust. He says, I'm not having that. And he just stormed out. And it took a few weeks for us to say, listen, it was just a joke, you know what I mean? But yeah, that was a good one. Yeah. But he took it well in the end, you know.
So Lilleshall lasted for a number of years. But actually, when you look, consider it was 16 per year for a number of years, it's a handful who actually had really good careers, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, I think Sol Campbell was...
Sol Campbell, Jermaine Defoe, Andy Cole.
Jamie Carragher.
Michael Owen, Alan Smith, but he dropped out. He didn't enjoy it for a bit. There was a few, but not when you look at the numbers.
16 for a year for all those years, however many years it ran. So
which probably tells you why it's folded.
100%, but it also tells you that you can't tell.
You can't, Sonny, that's the thing. If you've got
the best coaches in England looking for the best 16 every year, and only a handful actually go on and make it, then, you know, you can't tell. I guess you can with some, you know, I'm sure your Messis and people like that were very clear at a young age. But you can't look at a 14-year-old and say for definite.
No, because the selection process at the time was the now. So you had to be the good player now. Now, I remember watching the trials when I'd already been there, and I'm a first year going into a second year, and the new first years are coming in. And I remember Stephen Gerrard was at the last batch of trials, and he was a dot. He was an absolute dot, and he was the best player there by an absolute country mile. You know, I was looking at it from a technical point of view, and he ran the game and stuff, but they didn't take him. They didn't offer him Lilleshall because of his size. Now, there's a story in his book, I've read his book, about he found that rejection tough because he knew he was one of the best players. He found that tough. Now, we used to, when you were in Lilleshall, you used to go and play their same age groups. So they would either come to Lilleshall, so Liverpool's under 15s or under 16s would come to Lilleshall, or we would travel to their training ground. And he tells a story that Lilleshall had played Liverpool under 15s or 16s. And he's telling the lads in the dressing room, like, oh, they'll walk in with the Lilleshall ties and stuff. And he says, I was ready for them. He says, I needed to prove a point that they'd made a mistake not selecting me for Lilleshall. He goes on to say in the game, like, he absolutely destroyed them in the game. He was the best player on the pitch by a mile. And he was then at the trials, but because he was only small, he didn't really probably infect it as much as what they wanted as a now player. But I think when I went into the academy structure all them years ago as a coach, you see the difference between 14 to 16, how much you change physically.
Yeah, we were talking about that coming through, weren't we?
Yeah. And I think at the time I was probably an early developer. You know, I was real solid. I had big thighs, big calves. I was quick. John Curtis
is a real example of it, isn't he? I mean, the lad captained England, didn't he?
He played in My United's youth team 2 years up. He played with Phil Neville and them.
Yeah.
He was the best I'd ever seen at 14-year-old. But he was an absolute man.
Well, I was going to watch them when we used to go down, and this 14-year-old lad's a man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. And it never progressed through, did it? Did he ever play first team?
Yeah, he had a couple of games in the first team, and then they sold him for $1 million or $2 million. Blackburn. Yeah, he went to Blackburn, and he played in their first team for a little bit. But
did he go to Derby?
He might have. But for me, he was very similar to Marlon Brooms. He was the captain of the age groups, and he was the best player by a street. Everybody caught up with him.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
well, that's right. Yeah.
Physically, some people. I remember Danny Higginbottom. When we went to Sunderland, when we went to Scholars, Danny was a real late developer. He was really skinny. There was nothing on him. And my first year, I was a right winger. He was a left back. Like there was running jokes in the dressing room. Like I used to, people will back us up. I used to destroy him in training to the point where they would come in and all the lads would be like, call the police, there's been a rape in training, there's been a rape in training. But the thing is with Danny was a late developer and Danny hadn't been offered a pro. So he had to do his 2-year scholar as grafting. And he just started to gradually get better, started to grow, started to fill out. He got a year's pro at the end of his scholar. And then he just started to take off. You know, you see him now. He went on to play for Stoke and Sunderland in the Premier League. And if you see him now, he's probably about 6'3".
Yeah,
But
nice guy, you know.
Lovely lad. But at that time, even when he was 17, he was nowhere near mature. You know, and he must have, them days must have been tough for him.
Yeah.
Getting abused in the dressing room off lads saying you've just been hammered, blah, blah. But
so to keep going, and I think that's one of the keys, isn't it? So you can be really talented. And you can have, you know, the physical thing will eventually come, I guess. It's that mental strength, isn't it?
Yeah.
Having that mental strength to keep going.
Yeah.
When the rejections are coming and things like that. And I was talking to a friend this morning about Jamie Vardy, you know, who came late to the game. And even that, the mental strength to keep playing at that lower level and keep going, keep
believing in yourself.
Yeah, and believing in yourself till you're 20-odd-year-old, thinking there might be still a chance here. That's a real strong mental capability, that, isn't it? To keep going. I mean, like I said, my choice was 18, get a job. I'm from a pit village. I need a job. Or keep believing in yourself. Go back to the Northern League, go back to the Wayside League and keep playing and keep trying. But I was working weekends and, you know, how do I get through the training? I have to finish work early and go through the training and stuff. So you make a choice.
That's right.
And all credit to those people who make the choice to keep going.
Yeah.
And eventually pays off.
And what I like about Jamie Vardy is when he was at Leicester, and he said, I would never go anywhere else. In his prime, I would never go anywhere else because he said, this club believed in me and gave me an opportunity. And I like that. That's honour in football, isn't it? So you don't see very often these days.
Not these days, you don't, unfortunately.
I've heard a couple of rumours Sunderland sniffing, but...
One of the things was he turned up at the training camp that Sunderland had just finished at. So all the Sunderland badges were still around the ground.
Right.
And someone took a photograph with him training in front of a Sunderland.
Thought he was there.
But and whether there's a connection or not, you know, 2 and 2 making 5 type thing, you know, don't know. But I mean, you'd take a punt, wouldn't you?
Maybe for the first season of the Premiership.
Yeah.
Even if you get your goals.
Even if he didn't start the games, he'd still get your goals coming on last 20. And that experience around the dressing room would be fantastic as well. You know, Premier League winner.
Yeah.
Definitely.
England international. So great experience for a group of what are essentially young lads. So Lilleshall, you know, it was a great experience for you and a great opportunity for you and great coaching. But actually the output of Lilleshall ultimately became its downfall, didn't it? In that it wasn't producing the star after star after star, or at least it wasn't even producing sustainable professionals, was it?
Yeah, you're right.